Hi, today I'm going to continue with my discussion about continuum mechanics, specifically how to calculate strains from deformation gradients. And if you watch my previous video, I introduced different definitions of strains in the reference configuration. In the current configuration, I introduced the polar decomposition that is needed in order to calculate these things. Today, in this video, I will show you a little bit more practically how you can perform these calculations. Last time I just showed equations. Today I'm going to show you how you can actually work with these. And to do that, I will use a Jupyter notebook. So this is a tool that's free to use, and you can incorporate comments and Python code to do different investigations, basically. So here is a notebook that I created that I will use for this demonstration. And the idea here is that I will use this in a more concrete way, and I will look at a deformation that's just basic simple shear. So I take a part and I shear it in a simple shear way. And I'm going to calculate the strains specifically from the applied deformation gradient in this case, and I'm going to compare it to finite element results to just make sure that it works and to show how we can do this in closed form in a very quick way. So here's the notebook. And if you haven't used a Jupyter notebook before, it's a really cool tool. Allows you to have notes, comments, images, and code embedded in it. So here's a clean notebook. I added a little bit of information at the top here. We're going to do a simple shear, and this is a screenshot from M-calibration where I specify that the engineering strain in simple shear is given by this equation here. And gamma is the shear angle, so how far you move the top surface divided by the height of the specimen. So that's the shear angle gamma. So for my calculations, I decided to stick with a gamma equal to 0.5, as you can see here. And then I'm going to do the calculations for that deformation mode. So here's the first cell that I can just type in my Python code. I import numpy as MP, and then I define a deformation gradient in this way, and then I print it. I can now run this by pressing Shift Enter, and that gives me the output of running this command. And here's the deformation gradient. And the deformation gradient for simple shear is pretty easy to derive. That's something you can derive from one of my earlier videos in this series when I introduced the whole concept of deformation gradient. The next thing we need to do is to do a polar decomposition of the deformation gradient, because as I mentioned in my previous video, the strain is not calculated directly from the deformation gradient, but from the left and right stretch tensors, which are independent of rotation. So in Python, there is no function that I know of that directly calculates the polar decomposition, so we have to write our own function for it. And in my previous video, I talked about the equations for how to do this. And here are some Python code that implements those equations. I calculate u squared by a dot product of f transpose f. Then I do an eigenvalue decomposition of that to get the principal values and rotations. And then I take the square root of the eigenvalues. That gives me the eigenvalues of the left and right stretch tensors. And then I just create and calculate the u, r, and v tensors by these dot products between the different matrices, and then I return it. So that's my function, and here I just take call this function based on the deformation gradient that we calculated up here, and then I just print out the results. So if I run this, I get these results here. So this is the u tensor. U is always symmetric, v is symmetric, and r is a rotation. And we see that the u and v are very different. They are one is in the reference configuration and one is in the current configuration, and here are the values. The next thing we need to do before we can start calculating strains is we need to have a function for calculating the logarithm of a matrix, a 3x3 matrix. And that's needed for the true strain that I will calculate in a bit. So here's the function for doing that in Python. It's very similar to what we did just a minute ago. I calculate the eigenvalues of this matrix A, and then I create a diagonal matrix of that using, first apply the log on it, on the eigenvalues, and then I create the final matrix here. So I run this one, there's no output because I just defined the function. Now, what we're going to do also is take a look at small strains. If you remember from small strains, the shear strain is given by this equation here. So in our case, there's pretty clear that the shear strain will be 0.5. It's the same as the shear angle gamma. So that's good to keep in mind as we calculate large strains. And large strains is a little bit more complicated. And from my previous video, I introduced these specific matrix equations, basically, for how to calculate the tensorial strain from the U and V tensors. The capital letters here refer to the reference configuration, and lowercase letters are in the current configuration, as we have talked about in previous videos. There's one thing to remember here, then, that the values that come out of these calculations are tensorial values. In order to make them agree with small strain values, like this here, we actually have to multiply the shear strains in these matrices by a factor of 2. We double the shear strains that come out of these equations. So that's what I need to do here. So I create a function to fix the shear strains. So I basically just multiply the shear strains by a factor of 2. And down here I have 4 lines. I print the different strain measures that we're interested in. And I also calculate them. So here's the green Lagrange strain is U squared minus the identity matrix times a half. And then I fix the strains using this function, and then I print it. And the same with Biot strain, nominal strain, and true strain. I can evaluate these by pressing Shift-Enter. And here are the strain values. True strain is this one. All of these strains are symmetrical, first of all. But we see the substantial differences between them. If we look at the shear strain is this number here. It's almost 0.5. Well, it's exactly 0.5. And the other ones are also close to 0.5. So in all of these 4 strain measures, the shear strain turn out to be very similar. But if you look at other strain components, they're very different, right? Some of them have a epsilon 2,2, the strain in the 2,2 direction. That's the vertical strain. To be positive, 0.9%, and this is negative. There's a 6% negative as well. So the strain tensors here are very different in these different measures, even though they're sort of similar shear strains. And this is just what comes out of the definitions. And these are just 4 strain measurements that one can use. There are many other ones, of course, that you can define based on what you're interested in. But this is how you can calculate them. It's pretty easy to do. It's just a few lines in Python to do it. So before I end, let's take a look at see if this actually is in agreement with finite element calculations. I did some quick abacus simulations here. And the top row here is there is a little bit of nominal strain and logarithmic strain. And what we can see is that if you look at these very carefully, they agree exactly with what we got from the calculation. So the finite element simulation code in outputs logarithmic strain for ANSYS, that's true strain. And for abacus, LE, the strain called LE is also the same as the true strain here. In abacus, you can also output very quickly a nominal strain or engineering strain. That's this quantity here. So that's all in agreement with the calculations and the equations we have shown. So I hope this was helpful. You can see how you can calculate these things very quickly. And if you haven't tried this Jupyter notebook idea, it's a very cool tool. It's free to use. So I suggest you take a look at it if you haven't used it before. If you have any questions, ask them below.